What if I told you your lack of discipline has almost nothing to do with laziness? What if one tiny habit, repeated dozens of times every single day, is secretly destroying your self-control? Every morning, your brain asks one dangerous question: do I really have to do this today? That single question has ruined more dreams than failure ever has. There is a fictional figure who understood something almost nobody realizes. The moment you negotiate with yourself, you've already started losing. Today, you'll learn the strange habit that can completely change the way your brain responds to difficult tasks. By the end of this, you won't just understand discipline, you'll know exactly how to train it. Every single day. Your brain is not lazy, it is efficient. Every decision costs energy, so your mind is constantly searching for ways to avoid spending it. This is why discipline doesn't collapse during the hard task. It collapses before the task even begins. In that quiet half-second before you act, a conversation starts. Maybe later, just 5 more minutes. I'm too tired today. That conversation is the enemy, not the workout, not the deadline, not the cold morning air. The habit we're studying today isn't about motivation or willpower or waking up at 5 a.m. It's about eliminating the conversation entirely. We'll call it never negotiate. A disciplined mind doesn't ask, should I train today? The training was already decided, days ago, maybe years ago. There is no debate, there is only the standard. That's the shift. Let's build it. Piece by piece, the hidden conversation inside your head. Picture a figure standing alone on a rooftop at 3 in the morning. Cold wind, exhausted body, a city that never stops needing him. He does not ask himself if he feels like continuing. There is no internal debate happening. The mission doesn't wait for his mood to catch up. That absence of negotiation is the actual weapon, not the training, not the gadgets, the absence of the question itself. Why this happens, every choice you make today pulls from the same limited mental battery. Researchers call this decision fatigue. The more choices your brain processes, the weaker your self-control becomes by the end of the day. But there's a second force at play. Your brain treats comfort as safety. Discomfort registers as a low-level threat. So whenever a hard task appears, your mind quietly searches for an exit. That search is the negotiation. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Every time you negotiate and lose, your brain doesn't just miss one workout or one study session. It learns that negotiation works. It gets better at finding exits. The habit compounds in the wrong direction, the mental shift. A disciplined identity is built on one rule: standards replace decisions. Discipline is never asking permission from your mood. How to train this step-by-step: pick one recurring action you keep negotiating with yourself over the workout. The morning wake up, the first hour of work. Write down the exact sentence your brain uses to negotiate. Usually it's some version of "I'll do it later" or "just this once." Create a fixed replacement sentence, something short. I do what I planned. Say it internally the instant the negotiation starts. Do not evaluate whether you feel ready. Feeling ready is not a requirement. It never was. Everyday example: your alarm goes off. Your brain immediately says, 5 more minutes won't hurt. That's the negotiation. Instead of debating it, you say, internally, I do what I planned, and your feet hit the floor before the sentence finishes. No debate. No internal courtroom. Just the standard, executing itself, training mission for the next 24 hours. Catch every internal negotiation the moment it happens. Keep a simple tally on your phone or a piece of paper. Just count them. Don't judge yourself, just notice. Awareness is the first rep in this training. Original quote: "The night doesn't ask if I'm ready. So I stopped asking too." Summary line: discipline isn't built in the action. It's built in the half-second before it, where the negotiation either wins or loses. Now, noticing the negotiation is only step 1. The real question is how to remove the decision entirely before it even has a chance to start. That's next. Stop making decisions. A vigilante doesn't decide each night whether to put on the suit. That decision was made once, with total conviction, and it never has to be made again. Every night he redecided he'd lose a little resolve, so he removed the deciding altogether. Why this happens: discipline doesn't fail because people lack willpower. It fails because people relitigate the same decision dozens of times a day. Should I go to the gym? What time? Which workout? Should I skip today? Each of those micro decisions drains the same limited resource. By evening, there's nothing left for the choice that actually matters. The fix isn't more willpower, it's fewer decisions. When a behavior becomes automatic, a fixed habit, rather than a fresh choice, it stops taxing your mental energy at all. The mental shift: decide once, execute forever. Never reopen the case. How to train this step by step. The night before, decide the exact time you'll do your hardest task tomorrow. Not sometime in the morning, an exact hour. Lay out everything you need the night before: clothes, notebook, equipment. Remove every small decision that could stall you in the morning. Build a 2-line morning checklist. Nothing complicated, just the first 2 actions that must happen no matter what. Treat the decided time as fixed, the same way you'd treat a flight departure. It doesn't move because you're tired. Everyday example. Instead of waking up and asking, "When should I study today?" You already decided last night, 7 p.m., desk, phone in another room. When 7 p.m. arrives, there's nothing left to decide. You just sit down. Training mission. Tonight, before you sleep, decide tomorrow's hardest task and its exact time. Write it down where you'll see it first thing. Tomorrow, do not renegotiate that time under any circumstance. Original quote: "I don't decide in the morning. The morning already knows what I've decided." Summary line: every decision you make in advance is a decision your tired, resistant future self doesn't get to fight you on. But even with a fixed decision, there's still a dangerous gap: the moment between deciding and acting. That gap is where resistance grows. Let's close it. Make action faster than thought. There's a reason a trained operative doesn't pause before jumping between rooftops. Hesitation is where fear grows roots. The pause is more dangerous than the jump, so the training isn't just physical. It's about compressing the gap between decision and motion until there's no room left for doubt to move in. Why this happens: the longer you sit with a hard task before starting, the more your brain builds a case against it. This is sometimes described as the action bias. In reverse, action itself lowers anxiety, while hesitation raises it. The dread you feel before a task is almost always worse than the task itself, but dread only has time to build if you let the gap between decision and motion widen. The mental shift: speed, is a discipline tool. Momentum removes the negotiation before it can speak. How to train this step by step: the instant you decide to act, count backward 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and move on 1. No exceptions. Physically stand up or change position immediately when the countdown ends. Motion breaks the mental freeze. Touch the task before you evaluate it. Open the laptop. Put on the shoes. Pick up the pen. Physical contact with the task interrupts the internal debate. Never allow yourself to think about it for a second. That second is exactly where negotiation lives. Everyday example: you know you need to send a difficult email. Instead of rereading it 8 times while dread builds, you count down from 5 and hit send on 1 before your mind can build a case against it. Training mission: pick one task today you've been putting off. Use the 5-second countdown and move the instant it hits 0. Notice how much smaller the task feels once you're already inside it. Original quote: "Fear only has time to find me if I stand still long enough to let it." Summary line: the task was never the hard part. The gap before it was. Speed gets you moving, but if your surroundings are working against you, even fast starts get derailed. That's where environment comes in. Build a no-excuse environment. Every tool is in its place. Every piece of equipment ready before it's needed, nothing is left to chance, because chance is where discipline quietly dies. An environment built with intention removes 100 small negotiations before they even have the chance to start. Why this happens? Willpower is unreliable. Environment is not. Behavioral psychology consistently shows that the cues around you shape your actions more than your intentions do. A phone within reach becomes a decision point. A messy desk becomes a decision point. Every piece of friction is a chance for negotiation to sneak back in. The mental shift: design your environment once, so your willpower doesn't have to fight the same battle twice a day. How to train this step by step. Prepare tomorrow's essentials tonight: clothes, meals, materials, whatever your hardest task requires. Physically remove the distraction that competes with your task. If it's your phone, place it in another room before you begin. Keep the tools for your important work visible and within arm's reach, so starting requires 0 extra steps. Do a 5-minute reset each night. Clear the space you'll use tomorrow so it's ready to receive you. Everyday example: instead of willpower fighting your phone every 10 minutes while you study, you leave it in the kitchen before you sit down. The negotiation never gets the chance to happen, because the option isn't in the room. Training mission: tonight, prepare your environment for tomorrow's hardest task exactly as if someone else had to complete it perfectly without you there. Remove one specific distraction from that space. Original quote: "I don't fight temptation. I make sure it's never in the room." Summary line: discipline isn't a personality trait. It's a room designed so badly for excuses that none can survive in it. You've built the habit, the decision, the speed, and the space. Now comes the part most people quietly ignore, the part that decides whether any of this lasts. Keep promises, so your brain trusts you. A vigilante's word means something because it's never broken. Not once. Not for convenience. That's not about ego. It's about trust, the kind you build with yourself, one kept promise at a time. Why this happens? Every time you tell yourself you'll do something and then don't, you teach your own brain that your word is unreliable. This is sometimes called self-trust erosion, and it's far more damaging than people realize. Eventually, your mind stops believing your own commitments, so even when you truly want to act, part of you expects you'll bail. That expectation itself becomes the excuse. Identity is built the same way. Not through big declarations, but through small promises kept, repeated until they become who you are. The mental shift discipline isn't about doing everything. It's about never breaking the few things you said you would. How to train this step by step: choose exactly 3 non-negotiables for the day. Not 10. 3. Make them small enough that missing them would be almost embarrassing. A page read, 10 minutes trained, 1 focused work block. Treat those 3 like unbreakable contracts. Everything else in your day is flexible. These 3 are not. At the end of the day, confirm to yourself, out loud or in writing, that the 3 were kept. This closes the loop and reinforces trust. Everyday example: you promise yourself 3 things today: 10 push-ups, 1 page of reading, 5 minutes of planning tomorrow. No matter how chaotic the day gets, those 3 happen. Over weeks, your brain starts to believe you again. Training mission: choose your 3 non-negotiables right now before finishing this video. Write them down somewhere visible. Keep them today, without exception. Original quote: "I don't need the world to trust me. I need to know I still keep my word to myself." Summary line: every kept promise is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every broken one is a vote against. There's one more shift left, and it's the one that ties every previous lesson together into something permanent. Become someone who never negotiates. Here's the truth hiding underneath everything we've covered. This was never really about discipline. It was about identity. Somewhere along the way, the person who catches the negotiation, who decides in advance, who moves before doubt can speak, who builds a room with no room for excuses, who keeps 3 small promises without fail, that person stops being someone practicing discipline. They become someone who simply doesn't negotiate. Full stop. It's no longer effort, it's identity. The training was never about becoming Batman. It was about becoming the version of yourself that doesn't need to ask permission from your own mood to do what you already decided matters. That version of you has been available the entire time, waiting for the moment you stop negotiating long enough to let it show up. The greatest discipline was never about waking up early or training harder than everyone else. It was about removing one single question: do I feel like it? Once that question disappeared, discipline stopped being difficult. It simply became who you are. The strongest people don't have stronger motivation, they have fewer negotiations. That's the method. If you're ready to make that promise to yourself, not for this channel, not for the algorithm, but for you, comment 3 words below. I don't negotiate. Let it be the first promise you never break.